Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you here visiting Create with Franz. How can we create the life that we want? And you know what? Some of the ways we can do that is using sound as a therapy, not as a substitute for the doctor, that's not what we're saying, but as a way to feel better. And sound therapy is a very popular complementary therapy depending on where you look at it from clinical or psychological or relation-based perspective, but it's very effective. And while it's not replacing your doctor, it really helps you to have these vibrations go inside you and coming out, and then you're connected to the environment and you can feel that in your whole body. So much that for Christmas this year, my husband has been given one little thing that you press the buttons and sound healing, and there are some big ones, and apparently they're very calming. But I don't know much about this sound therapy, although I play the piano, I love music. So I got to you guys, an expert who is not only an opera singer, an expert in sound, but also work with quite a lot of well-known people like Braden and Bruce Lipton, one of my good friends. And she's going to talk about all the power of this potent medicine, which is melody. Melody, which gives us solace and inspiration, connection. And because our body is an instrument, as you well know, right, Geraldine? We're going to see what's going on when we use music and sound for healing. How do we interact? So, you have come, Geraldine, to this studio and to this experience for a very specific reason, which is to help others to heal through the sound. So, how did you get to this? And happy to have you here in the show. You talk, and I
Thank,
just listen now.
thank you so much, Franz. That was beautiful. I've been a singer all my professional life, so I started performing. One of my first engagements was on Broadway when I was 19. So singing is something that I always knew I was going to do from the time I was a little girl. So I'm going to say from that moment, from my childhood, I knew that singing was a balm or a medicine for me because it just brought me so much joy and so much peace, and it brought grounding, and it brought expansion and beauty, and I could make people happy. So I think it always has been for me a medicine. And what I find so interesting is that each of us has a unique instrument. So, Franz, your instrument has different sparkles and different emanations than mine does. And it's discovering, not that little one, but you yourself, you as your human instrument. And so I think what's really important is that we each recognize that we're a very essential instrument in this orchestra that we call human life, right? And it's discovering whether you're a singer or not. It's discovering that you have a very unique vibrational signature, and it's needed. So that's really to say from the beginning to everyone, you bring something as your human instrument that no other being on this earth does. And I grew up feeling that somehow it was my responsibility to develop that and to free it and to express it, because there's only one of me in the world, right? And so it took me on a path that took me from California to New York, and then New York to Europe, and then Europe to the Far East. And I got to experience music being the universal language, so that, now Franz and I are having this conversation. We just met each other, but we're going to resonate together with the power of music. And music is something that it doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't matter what God you pray to. It doesn't matter how much money you have in your bank account. None of these things matter. What matters is once we start to feel a rhythm, or as you said, Franz, a beautiful melody, or we feel like a pulse, or we feel these sounds that are strings that are exquisite, whatever it is, it's something that every single human being can relate to.
Amazing. I have just to agree with everything and say just ditto, 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 because that's the thing, I've done sign language for years, and I remember being very deeply into the deaf community. Mm. And I always wondered, wow, how do we live without music? It's such an important thing. And then I realized actually there was Elaine, what's her name? Elaine Page. I can't remember her name. But anyway, it was a very famous drummer who is deaf. And so she made all these concerts and played very well this because she could feel. So music is really something that can touch pretty much all of us. Is we can hear it is amazing, and you can even sing and compose if you are deaf. Look at who was it, Bach or Beethoven? I think it was
I was
Beethoven.
Beethoven. So like
He was
I sang a lot of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, which was a monumental, iconic piece because it combined a full orchestra, a big chorus, and then four soloists. And the poem is from Schiller, and it's in English translated to Ode to Joy. But
right.
it talks about this connection of human beings to God. It's a very spiritual, very incredible, lofty piece of music. And when Beethoven premiered it in the 1800s in Vienna, he was deaf, right? So it's like, for me, that's pretty crazy. You know, he could compose one of the greatest masterpieces of all time, and he was deaf,
And he
you
was
know, so.
playing it in his head probably, and
And
maybe
just yeah, you feel music. You know, music is not only heard in the ears, you feel music in your eyes, you feel it in every cell of your being. And I'm so inspired by that piece. So just a little tangent here. I was pregnant with my child when I sang nine of these Ninth Symphony of Beethoven performances throughout Germany. And after my son was born, whenever he would cry, I would put on that music. And boom, he was still as a mouse. And that was kind of one big experience for me of music being like a medicine. It was like, Binky, the little pacifier that the children love, or it just was like, we didn't need that. We had Beethoven, and Beethoven just calmed his whole nervous system because he experienced his mother's voice singing that, and then he experienced the whole orchestra and the other three soloists and the choir and everything. So, yeah, music is something that is sensed and not just experienced with the ears. And I was motivated to create a modern piece. So if you like to listen to music, it's on all the streaming platforms. It's called Joy Reboot. So we reimagined Beethoven's melody. Da da dee da dee da 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 dee da 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 da. We reimagined that in a modern form and made kind of a meditative, beautiful piece with singing bowls and different friends and colleagues, all different styles, and put it together in one big piece called Joy Reboot. So
joy reboots, and that's what we want. We want to
yeah,
reboot your life with joy, and let's use music for that. And one of my best moments in life is when I'm drawing, because I'm an artist, and I'm listening to music. So it's
yeah,
both things, and I'm like, oh, it's even almost as good as eating chocolate. And I'm not sure yet if chocolate is divine. So maybe drawing while listening to music while chewing some black chocolates, then I'm just in heaven. I have it. Ah,
yeah,
but you say you have all this passion, but I also read in your bio that after the tragic loss of your son, you turn even deeper into
yeah.
music.
You know, Franz, nothing prepares you as a parent to lose a child. It's not the logical order of life. You know, okay, we know we're going to lose our parents and perhaps a partner or a sibling, and we talk about when we lose a parent, we lose our past. It feels like we lose our past. When we lose a partner, we feel like we lose a present or a sibling. But when you lose a child, you feel like you've lost your future. And I have learned with the passing of my son 11 years ago that energy, we know from quantum physics, you spoke about Dr. Bruce Lipton. I've been privileged to play at his and Greg Braden's events. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Energy is it, right? And so when my son passed, he began communicating with me through sound. I could hear him through my right ear, and then all kinds of signs began to happen over these last years. But it's like his energy, his presence is always with me. So it's just important for all of us to recognize that we don't ever lose somebody. Yes, physically we can't hug them and we can't have these kind of conversations like we're having, but their energy is always present. And music for me creates that bridge, Franz. So music grounds us here on the earth, but music, when you think about hearing like this Ninth Symphony of Beethoven, it is sublime. And think about music that you love, whether it's a Frank Sinatra singing Fly Me to the Moon, or it's a contemporary pop song, or whatever it is, or jazz, whatever it is, or these great classical pieces. For me, I was in opera for many, many years, so what is it that music builds this bridge to the sublime. And it's like, I'll always say that music takes us to that place of the ineffable. There's no words. And this is a great space to be in because the thinking mind is quieted. It's not doing this. It's not, judging us or shaming us or criticizing us or doubting us or whatever the things the mind can get into. It's not trying to be smarter than. It's not comparing you with others. The mind is quiet, and this sound vibration creates, and these beautiful melodies, whatever it is that we're listening to, that we love, create this bridge that connects the seen and the unseen, right? It bridges, I like to say, because of the situation of my son, it bridges heaven and earth. It bridges this earthly existence and connects us to the divine. But however you want to name that, however that feels to you, but it's the soul speaking with the body. It's the celestial realms connecting us to the earth. For me,
Each of
that's
your
what music does. Sorry, yeah.
Now, each of your sentences should go on a T-shirt. As a statement. I don't
Okay,
know
let's
what
remember
we're gonna.
that.
Let's put everything in quotes here, okay? But it should be on a T-shirt. The
Mm.
music is divine, and sometimes a whole melody can come to you straight from heaven, and then you give it to the people, and then they feel that connection. So it's a great thing. I always remember the story of Naomi Campbell, who was commissioned by our church, the LDS Church, to write something for the primary children to learn that they are children of God. And she thought about it, and I can't remember all the details. You can look it up online. Google is your friend. And she had the whole melody coming to her at night. And then she wrote it all like that. And it's one of the most beloved songs for the children. And it goes, I am a child of God, and He has sent me here. And it's such a beautiful thing.
Mm.
And you just
See, and
feel
when you
it.
land in that space, what you just described, that's pure from the heart, this quiets. So when I speak and share the crystal alchemy singing bowls,
Mhm.
it's like your mind goes, oh wow, that's music. Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh, the
Yep.
sound, right? The sound is so, like, if I show you this, it's like,
It's
oh
emotional.
wow.
Let's hear you.
It's like the sound is so pure from the crystalline instruments that what I've come to learn is my mind goes, oh, that's music. Wow. And in that moment, the mind is quiet, and you have the ability more than any other times to really drop deep inside yourself in this pristine place of stillness where there's so much to say, but where your nervous system is calm, there's no production of cortisol, you don't go into fight or flight, and you experience love. Like when I play these, I experience love. So just to give you an idea that these are really unusual instruments, they're only 26 years old. They're made of pure quartz, and the quartz gets infused with gemstones and semi-precious and metals and earth substances, and those get amplified in the quartz. So, it was fun for me to take Beethoven's melody, put it in a modern setting, add these crystal bowls, and of course it made me think about if Beethoven was alive today, would he integrate these crystal bowls? And I'm sure the answer is yes, And if Mozart was alive, I had the privilege to sing a lot of Mozart during my career. Like, would Mozart have integrated these into a chamber orchestra piece or a concerto? Yes, I'm sure they would have. These are very unique instruments that can be used for deep and profound meditation, kind of like your little your little bowl that you played, but they're so different because they're crystal, and because our body is crystalline in structure, we're able to absorb the sound very, very easily. It's different than other instruments. You know, we love the harp or stringed instruments, and those are considered to be incredibly celestial sounds. But there's something about these that the sounds are just so pure.
How beautiful. Come closer so I can hear you even better. I hope that the
Okay.
microphone picked up everything correctly so we can enjoy this. But you guys, you have to admit there is something celestial that connects us to what I call the divine. I don't know what you guys are going to call it, but certainly there is a universe full of love and music in there. I cannot believe that I die, go to heaven. I hopefully I go to heaven. And there is no music. It just cannot be. There has to be music. You know, music is a vehicle of love as well. And the frequency and the vibration of the music are really like a prescription from your doctor for your health, for feeling good, for feeling stable. The music that you listen to can make you feel agitated or nervous, anxious, worried. And I said this before, so if you listen to my episode, you will know. If you are watching a horror movie, which I don't, but I'm saying, try to listen to the horror movie with the volume down. It just doesn't scare you much. Maybe it's gore, but when you put the music transmits the sense of fear, agony, pain, shock, and terror. And if you put it down, you don't have it. So your body is responding to that. And in the same way, a little child, you pick up a 2-year-old, he's just walking around. Then you put music and he starts jumping around and he's listening to the rhythm. And then you think, oh, something is happening here. Music can make you happy. And I also have episodes talking about how youth that were in gangs or in difficult crime situation, they were put into programs where they're making music together and the whole mindset changed. That must be something. I mean, I'm a lover of Sister Act, the movie with Whoopi Goldberg, when everyone
And they use the Beethoven melody in there.
remember.
In the where they all come together and sing "Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee" with
Yeah,
Lauryn Hill. That's Beethoven's melody. You know, it's timeless.
exactly. So music is to make people happy, which is why also in my native uh, Sardinia, that's where I was born, my native island, music with the accordion is what brings people together. And that also happens in France. And there are musical instruments my father used to play, the accordion, my grandfather used to play, and with very simple means, people since the beginning that we've been having recorded history of population somewhere, we've been making music, and only centuries later, we started to write down. It was Guido d'Arezzo. He have the notes, but really, is writing something that exists. And I love it when I read near-death experiences now, whether you believe or not, that's your thing. But people say, "Oh, I've been to the other side. There was this amazing music." I'm like, "Yay, I love that." And I felt this love and this light, and I heard the music. So it does affect your mood. It does affect your health. Now I want to see how can we use music into, let's say, our daily life, because now we're all there with a mobile phone, we're scrolling the whole day, and sometimes I think with all these short attention span, we're kind of missing something there. So you as an expert, how do you put music back into your life
To
in
daily life.
daily small habits?
I'm just going to say two quick things to what you just said.
Sure.
If you know the Hay House author Anita Morjani, her first big book was "Dying to Be Me," and she had a near-death experience.
Yes.
And I used to play the bowls for her for a number of events. And when she first heard them, she said, "Jeralyn, this is what it sounded like. This is what the music in heaven sounded like." And she's
Wow.
not the only one. Cancer patients have told me that too, that have had near-death experiences. So it's pretty amazing. But to your question, how do we bring this into our daily life? The easiest, most efficient way, first of all, is to recognize that you yourself, again, are a quartz vessel. Blood has quartz-like structure, bones have quartz-like structure. And so we are made to vibrate, meaning that we are made, that's a very grounding hum. That's a more centering hum. And then here's an expansive hum. And then I can connect them. I can go, so I would invite everybody, first of all, to play with their own voice. So let's just say also, like, for example, for me, when I have to go to the dentist and I'm like, sitting in the dentist chair, the dentist knows that I'm always going to be doing some humming, because what humming does is it brings more oxygen to your blood. It helps to calm the production of cortisol, so it helps take you out of fight or flight. So there's so many benefits to you yourself making sound. And as you said, Franz, like in these busy times, and we're, scrolling and on social media and everything's just going so fast, it's just to take a moment where you just take a breath full of presence. So I'll invite all of us to just for a moment close your eyes and allow a deep breath deep in your belly through your nose. And exhale a sigh. So also, Franz, when we allow ourselves to sigh like this, and really release the jaw, just try that with me. Yeah, so often for most of us in our daily lives, this is clenched. Our jaw is clenched. And so most people would go, but look at the difference. I put my fingers here and I really allow my jaw joint to unhinge. So simply toning our own vibrational signature, giving it space and room without the question mark. And just playing with your own sound. It's really fun to do under the shower. Of course, you can warn your family, your partner, that you're going to be making some funny noises, perhaps. But the more that we allow our own human instrument every day to have space, and that I'm not talking about words, I'm talking about humming, sound vibrations, sighing, just playing with the different registers in your voice. So that means your lower sounds, your medium sounds, your high sounds, and then trying to allow them to be integrated. And usually when you release here, you will go into a yawn. It really drops you into your parasympathetic nervous system, so where you can really rest and relax. And I think in this pace, as you said, from our everyday lives, the more that we can find a moment to just like when I can't be mad. I can't be frustrated. I can't be, disturbed. I go into my hum and everything just quiets. Try to hum and be mad. Nothing sounds, right? So what I also like to use sound for is when I am angry, when stuff triggers me, and for all of us, there's so much that's triggering, especially now in our daily lives. So what I like to do is make sound. So if I go into a space and tell those around me I'm going to be making noise, but just ha ha but just making kakapa so like not directing your anger on somebody or on something, but just allowing anger or frustration to be felt as an emotional response and allow it to release in sound. And then after I've let some of that explosive sound out, then I come back to this. So I'm just playing with my own human instrument to tune me first. And I think that's a really lovely, everyone can do it. It's not about singing, it's not about performing, it's about recognizing I have a vibrational signature, and sometimes that's going to get out of tune, and I need to work with my sound and move it, throughout my human system, and especially unhinging my jaw. So again, it's not ah, ah, and then the whole sound is flowing up and down what we call the central channel, activating all the energy centers in the body and helping you just to express freely without the question mark on your back and without judgment or criticism. I feel like that's really important. Does that make sense to you?
It makes a lot of sense, especially if a person thinks, oh, well, I'm out of tune, I cannot follow any note, so I better not do it. But I think we need to reconnect to the fact we have vocal cords for a reason. And unless they've been severed with operations or cancer or radiation, we want to use those vocal cords and learn how to relax them. I also learned some people when they're trying to sing, they're straining too much. When I've done my RTT course, one of our fellow students, she was an opera singer, and she was going around telling us we were learning clinical hypnosis. And we do that using music, and there is soothing words and soothing music, obviously. And she was there saying, wake up here. This is tense. You're gonna lose your voice in 5 minutes. She was telling us all these things, how to actually breathe and how to use the voice from down and not from the edge, and all these interesting things. And actually, yeah, when you're singing, you feel different. I love being in choirs of, certainly not a singer, but it just brings you together. It's something that I think if society today had local choirs in all the cities, I'm not saying they have to be religious, they could be any music. They could involve people of all ages, some teaching, some
Yep.
learning, some in the middle. They would be so much more fun.
Yep. We always tease and say if every politician had to play an instrument and just started political meetings with music playing, coming together as a mini orchestra, things would be very, very different.
Yeah.
Music immediately, it helps you to tune. You hear some music and you naturally want to move your body. It's important because, like you were saying, when emotions they rise up, or sometimes they're trapped and we can't get to them because they're big and they're buried. You move your body, and you make some sound, and that is just, it's so freeing for the human, from the human being, for this human instrument. But we're kind of taught to, like you said, oh, just mouth the words because you're not a singer. It's not about that. It's about moving your vibrational energy. It's not about you singing, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, the crystal bowls are such a good instrument because they're each have a very unique sound to each of them, and they're vibrating, and they encourage us. They hold the space for us to move and make humming and make sound.
I love everything you say, and I promise I'm gonna put this stuff on t-shirts because it's worth it. It's so
Okay.
important. We have to do something. Merch, come. Where do we find you to find out a little bit more about the therapeutical power of music?
I've written a book called Sacred Vibrations: The Transformational Power of Crystalline Sound and Music, the Transformative Power of Crystalline Sound and Music. And then we also have a beautiful oracle deck that's been translated into Spanish and French. Both of these are listed as at Crystal Cadence is my main website. And this is something I got very passionate about. This is an app that we created called Source, Be Inspired. And it's a place where you can experience the healing power of music, where you listen to the science and what's behind the structure of music. So it's very educational, and there's a number of long meditations to just relax to, fall asleep to. And this is the book. And you see on the cover of the book, this is an image of an actual sound bowl, a little 6-inch F note that has a tuning of 432 hertz. And as you see, like, it makes these little antinodes, that there's 22 of them. So if you think that each sound bowl has its own fingerprint, just like each of us does, and see how beautiful and coherent that is. So at Crystal Cadence, I offer trainings. We just finished a training, a 4-day training in intensive level 1, where we work with what's the science of sound, what's the theory of music, how do you free your own human instrument. So I'm a professor of voice also. So I just love to offer people in person, virtual. We have a members portal where you can, we meet once a month and have conversation and share. Like, for example, Dr. Bruce has been on one of the conversations. Greg Braden has been on one of the conversations, Dr. Sue Martyr. And so there's a beautiful library of conversations about what is the bridge of between science, spirit, and the healing power of music. Because I feel, as you can see, like just so passionate about how music can help each of us in the times where it can either supplement something medical. Like I work with cancer patients, Parkinson's patients, veterans, those with memory issues, children. It's for everybody. It's music. So you can find everything that I'm offering on crystalcadence.com. And then our social media is Crystal Cadence LA. And lots of music that's available to download. Like I mentioned, the Joy Reboot is on all the streaming platforms. And I'm a big one of creating. I've created a couple of arias that are made with string orchestra and singing bowls, and then albums of songs that such as Nature Boy or Somewhere Over the Rainbow, also infused with singing bowls. So those are all available on our website and on the streaming platforms.
Woohoo! We have so much here. We're just gonna have a great time. You remember the story? I don't know if you heard about during the Second World War. There were soldiers on both parts of the trenches, and it was the 24th of December. And in the evening, the soldiers started to sing Silent Night, and then, if I remember well, the soldiers on the other side of the trench started to sing Silent Night.
I don't know that story, but I can imagine. So in German, it's Stille Nacht.
Yes.
So yeah, again, it doesn't matter whether you just tone the melody, but no, I didn't know that story. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I made it short.
Yeah.
I don't want to bore people with my stories, but I do know that sound and music, even not intentional, for example, the birds, they have a huge, huge impact on our mental health for the good and for the bad. If you listen to bad music, they will have an impact as well. Music can be very healing for your brain, for your soul, for your vibrations. And it's been used professionally in mental health situations, cancer places, hospice patients, children, veterans that are suffering for PTSD. So, although we're not going to say, oh, yeah, dump all the doctors, just play some music, but music has a huge impact on our life. And that's a good time now. Times of turmoil and change, worrying about everything. Times where people think they're just going to Suno and get AI to do music for you. That's the music. These are notes put together, but music has to come from the soul. In my opinion, we have a story. A storytelling with music is very important. So let's get back into music. Let's put it back into where it belongs, which should be really, with all the arts, in the center of society. Think what would happen if in all the old people homes there was music,
Yeah.
you know? And they
Yeah.
could dance a little bit. And there were experiments conducting years ago, quoted by loads of people, where people in a home, and they were all 70, 80 year old, they had a whole, I think it was like a week, there's a whole study, and they were to listen only to music from the 19, I think it was 50s, and
Mm-hmm.
only watch television from those days, and they had to only wear the same clothes. So they were immersed in this virtual environment. There was everything around them was like we are in the 50s. And doctors measured the pressure, the weight, the mood, how many psychiatric medication are taking to feel better, how many painkillers. They measure this in the beginning and then in the end, and all the numbers and markers they have improved greatly because they were there triggered by the memory of a past. Now they're feeling younger. They were walking, they were doing things, they made new friends. And so you think, wow, that's a power, because music also has a power to bring you back to those lovely memories because it creates an anchor. So every time you have a trigger, you have a reaction, and it's stronger and stronger. So if you are very happy and you play certain music when you are very happy, and then every time you have the music, you're happy. Then eventually, every time you hear the music, you wanna go straight back, firing the anchor. If you listen to Tony Robbins, you will know this. Noble NLP here. So just imagine all the amazing memories you have, Gerald. If we could only record them, what's going on in your brain there with these amazing memories. But we can do the same. We can just follow what Geraldine told us today, gracious with her time, because I know she's very busy. And we can spend 5 minutes a day, maybe making music or listening to music or sharing music that makes us feel amazing. For me, is all classical music. I also like heavy metal, in particular Iron Maiden, but my top is really Bee Gees. I think they are great composers, but to be honest, when I play, I usually play Bach because that's Bach is my guy. What is your favorite music? Share with me. Share with all of us what makes you really feel great. And maybe that's the beginning of a new journey to create the life that you want. You know.
Yeah, and there's no one prescription, there's no one size fits all. So on one day you want to listen to jazz, Ella Fitzgerald, and on one day you want to listen to Bach. I mean, and I love listening to Bach. I got to sing St. Matthew Passion. I love listening to Mozart. So whatever it may be on that particular day, the Four Seasons of Vivaldi, or music that has a really strong beat, whatever it is for you, integrate that in your daily life, and listen consciously. So music can be in the background and it can just be holding you, and then music can also be listened to when you're feeling very, very present and you're really listening to the words. And I think everybody knows, like, you might listen to a song and suddenly you're crying, right? Why is that? It's because music goes into the biofield, it goes into the places in the body where there have been blockages, where a trauma, where a fear, where an injury,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the energy shut down, right? And suddenly you're allowing music to really be received in a physical way. And the music is going into those areas of our body and just gently, holding it and saying, okay, you can free up now, right? And suddenly energy is moving again and you feel better. The pain is less, right?
Yeah.
So again, there's no one size fits all. There's no one prescription. Maybe you like to listen to Indian raga, it doesn't really matter what it is, or, any style of music, something with a strong beat. Again, like what's feeling right for you right now?
Right.
What's your medicine right now,
That was
today?
my medicine during my divorce. Music, music, music. And it was amazing. Sacred music, hymns, classical music, anything just to get myself. And then I would go to the gym and there was totally different pop music and they will regenerate me. So let's use music. Music is there to be used. And most of it is actually free. Just go to YouTube and it's there. So let's do that and let's create a life that is really worth living by getting those emotions out. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you so much, Geraldine, for being here. I'll see you all next week. Make sure you share this amazing episode. Bye bye.